Hey, y'all. Just wanted to talk to you for a second. We are not going to have class at all this week, but that doesn't mean that we're going to stop learning. I am simply going to be out at a conference tomorrow, and then on Thursday, I will be catching up. Second try on this video, and the first time I just totally messed it up. And this time, um, I'm just really struggling. So apologies for that. When you're yawning on a video, it's not good. So here we go. Talking about STEM and talking about what you need to do for this week. So I did do a short assignment for you. Just a reminder here, there's no class this week right there. And then I gave you a link to the Oklahoma Science Standards because you'll need that. And then the science and engineering practices. That's actually what you're going to be focusing on. And this is a pretty lengthy document. Just realized that you can't see that because I'm recording the tab. This is a lengthy document, but it's a great resource for you to move ahead with teaching science in your class. It's also a resource that I would encourage you to use when you develop the 5E lesson that you'll do at the School for Children, and thinking about those science and engineering practices. Hold on one second. Maybe that'll help me not to yawn so much. Okay. So what are the science and engineering practices? Science and engineering practices are these 8 things listed here, and they describe the major practices that scientists employ as they investigate and build models and theories about the world, and are a key set of engineering practices that engineers use as they design and build systems. The term practice is used instead of the term process to emphasize that scientists and engineers use skill and knowledge together, not in isolation. So science and engineering practices should be integrated into everything that you do with science, because for scientists, they are integrated just by the nature of what they are. So, week before last, we did the CHEX lab. And so I'm thinking that could be the type of activity that you might do in a 4th grade classroom. So imagine you have a 4th or 5th grade classroom. Sorry, guys. And I want you to think about what you did during and after class for the CHEX lab. So you had an assignment after class for the CHEX lab. Your principal came in and observed you during that CHEX lab, and she's called you into her office to discuss science instruction in your classroom. She's a little bit concerned that you're not doing things that are aligned to the standards because you weren't actually talking about any science content. So there wasn't really any science in the lab, right? Wrong. There were science and engineering practices. These are skills that your students need to develop. And as we talked about in class before, habits of mind. So what you need to do is to provide some specific examples to her from the CHEX lab to show what your students did. What did you do in the lab? What did you do in the CHEX lab that aligned to any of these practices up here, right? So these 8 things. Sorry for the dinging, guys. What did you do in the CHEX lab that would align to these things? So I gave you an example right here, and I gave you an example of something that didn't align. So I shouldn't see number 3 in anyone's stuff unless you can justify this some other way. So that really is what we're doing here, is I'm asking you to say, this is what happened in the CHEX lab. This is the science and engineering practice that it aligns with, and here's the evidence like here's what students actually did. So here's the thing that we did, but here's the deeper meaning of what they did. And that is evidence for alignment to one of or multiple ones of these. I do expect that you can probably align this to about 4 or 5 of those. You're not going to be able to align it to all of them. And I'm giving you in this example, number 3, you cannot align. So you are going to make a short video of yourself. You can just use your phone. You can do a screencast or whatever. It doesn't matter. But you're just going to be sitting there like as if you had your phone up in front of you, and we're good technologists. So we're going to hold our phone like this, not like this, right? So you're just going to record yourself like this with your phone or your computer or whatever, and as if you're talking to your principal. So it's very conversational. I don't expect that you're going to be necessarily reading anything. You might have some bullet points that you talk about rather than a script that you read. So that's something to think about. I will have a rubric up for this. I don't have it yet, but if you go through and look at the things that I'm asking you to do here, you're probably going to be able to tell what that rubric looks like. I'm going to have criteria like, was it a video that you posted online that I could see? How long should your video be? It probably should be a couple of minutes at the most. At the most. There are many of you. I have to watch each video. If each of you does a 5-minute video, I'll be watching video for well over an hour, or pretty close to an hour, because I think there are about 20 of you in there, maybe a little less. But anyway, you get the point. Not that I don't love watching your videos, but I do want you to recognize and think about, as a teacher, everything that you assign, you pretty much have to grade. So think about that when you make assignments. Post your video online. I don't care where you post it. I recommend YouTube because it's easy. Your phone will actually share it directly to YouTube if you have the YouTube app downloaded. And be sure that it's at least unlisted. Don't make it private so that it can be shared with me. Just make it at least unlisted and share a link with me. And you're going to provide a link here in the add submission button right there. You can see right here when this is due. It's not due until Sunday. So I'm giving you Tuesday's class period and Thursday's class period and the time that you're supposed to spend outside of class time. So I'm really giving you like 6 hours to work on this. No, more like 8 hours to work on this, which is far too long. It won't take you near that long. So this is going to be a light week as far as work goes. And you're welcome. I have things that I need to catch up on, and so do you. So just going to go back to the front page of the course and point out a couple of resources. Good grief, my family has decided to text me while I'm making this video. Sorry. So here is a great resource for you. It's some process skill activities. Process skills, that should be science and engineering practices, not processes. So I'll fix that. Obviously, I have a little updating to do on my course. And then here is the OAS for Science framework. And then here's just a little article about centers, kind of interesting, might be helpful for you in thinking about differentiation of instruction so that everybody, every learner is able. So you really just have one assignment to work on this week. So I do expect that you will spend an adequate amount of time and put in an adequate amount of effort for that. I'll get the rubric done and I will catch up on your other grades. So you should be seeing some check marks beside your other stuff in the course, because you got to have a grade before it's marked as done. It's not done until I say it's done. Hope you guys have a good rest of the week. I am going to enjoy learning some about technology tomorrow and Wednesday, and then I'll be grading on Thursday. So have a lovely, lovely rest of the week.